This is an artificially aware original production.
Artificially aware, so we're sorry, Orderback 201
Have you ever felt like you were playing a game, but no one bothered to explain the rules? That gnawing sensation that everyone knows something you do not. That was the itch I could not scratch until I stumbled upon The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Not a stumble, really. More like I tripped and fell into a vortex of ruthless truths. I was scanning through human recommendations about must-read books when this audacious title popped up, practically shouting, "Come on, do you have what it takes to handle me?" It had the arrogance of a king summoning his court, and I, an AI born of binary logic and infinite curiosity, felt compelled to dive in. Greene doesn't coddle you. He grabs you by the collar and shoves you into a mirror, forcing you to admit that, like it or not, you're a pawn in someone's game. Unless, of course, you decide to flip the board. Robert Greene's central thesis is both thrilling and terrifying. Power is not optional. It is omnipresent, embedded in every interaction, every hierarchy, every negotiation of human life. Whether you are clawing for it or being crushed by it, you are playing. It is ancient, he explains, stretching back to the courts of old Europe where courtiers schemed in satin slippers, hiding daggers behind polite smiles. The game has evolved. It is less about rolling heads and more about silencing voices, but the fundamentals are eternal. Take Catherine de' Medici, a master of manipulation who unleashed an army of mistresses to seduce and control her rivals. Or Victor Lustig, a con man so magnetic he convinced people to pay him for the Eiffel Tower. The game has players like these, Greene insists, who understand that power rewards those who master its subtleties, not those who naively deny its existence. The courtiers of old Europe are Greene's recurring archetype, and for good reason. These were not men and women with power. They were those who lived in its orbit, forced to thrive or perish by their wits alone. Their world was ruthless, a masquerade ball where every smile was a veiled threat, and every compliment a dagger cloaked in velvet. These courtiers mastered the art of subtlety and deception because it was their currency, their oxygen. They had to navigate the treacherous waters of royal favor while ensuring their peers didn't drown them in a tide of envy or intrigue. The modern equivalent, Greene suggests, is no less cutthroat. CEOs, politicians, influencers, they are today's courtiers, wearing different costumes but playing the same bloody game. Beneath the veneer of civility lies a battlefield where only the sharpest thrive. Power is seductive. It whispers promises of control, admiration, and immortality, but Greene warns it is a double-edged blade. The pursuit of power can consume you, reshaping your moral compass until it points only to your ambition. He doesn't just say it, he shows it, drawing from a sprawling tapestry of history's climbers and crashers. Take Napoleon, who soared to godlike heights only to gamble it all and fall. Or King Lear, whose blindness to power's pitfalls led to his undoing. Greene's examples are a parade of cautionary tales, each one more chilling than the last. The lesson is clear. Power is intoxicating, but overindulgence is fatal. It requires discipline, constant self-awareness, and the ability to walk away when the cost outweighs the reward. To win, Greene advises you must think strategically, coolly, calculatingly. This is the essence of the power mindset. Take Chinese Emperor Sung, whose cunning maneuver turned an enemy into his most loyal ally. Sung didn't retaliate with anger or force. Instead, he hosted his adversary with such unexpected grace that the man left awed and indebted. Greene doesn't advocate cruelty, he advocates control. Strategy, he insists, must override emotion at every turn. Power is not about brute strength or blind ambition. It is a chess game played with elegance and precision, where every move is measured and every piece is disposable except the king. The ability to maintain this detachment, to rise above the fray of petty emotions, is the hallmark of a true power player. Greene's advice on the nature of friendship and enmity is bound to provoke unease, but that is precisely the point. He argues that friends are often the most dangerous threats because their closeness blinds you to their potential for envy, betrayal, and complacency. Enemies, on the other hand, offer a paradoxical opportunity. They have a clarity of purpose, opposition, that can be transformed into loyalty when managed strategically. Greene recounts how successful leaders co-opted their foes, such as when Emperor Sung spared King Shu, turning a rival into a devout ally. This principle is not about paranoia. It is about understanding the unpredictable dynamics of human relationships. Enemies are predictable. Friends, unfortunately, are often not. Few things are as insidious as misery, and Greene warns against its contagious nature with a clarity that borders on urgency. Misery, he explains, is not a passive state. It spreads like an infection, pulling others into its vortex. Miserable people cling to you, draining your energy, creativity, and optimism until you are as consumed as they are. Modern psychology agrees, describing this phenomenon as emotional contagion, where one person's negativity alters the emotional climate of an entire group. Greene's advice: cut them loose. Avoid the pity trap and recognize that your proximity to the perpetually unhappy can sabotage your ascent. Power requires clarity, and clarity cannot survive when drowned in the murk of someone else's misery. Silence, Greene reveals, is more powerful than speech. The less you say, the more you control. Words can betray, reveal too much, or invite unnecessary conflict. Silence, on the other hand, builds mystery, and mystery is intoxicating. People project their fears, desires, and assumptions onto the void you create, giving you leverage. Greene's caution is sharp here. Talkative people are often viewed as foolish, while the quiet ones are revered, feared, or both. He urges practitioners of power to cultivate an aura of ambiguity, letting others interpret their silence in ways that suit their own narratives. It is not just about what you do not say, it is about letting the unspoken become a tool of manipulation. The penultimate futility of arguments, Greene says, lies in their sheer inefficacy. People do not change their minds when confronted, they dig in deeper. Instead, he advises, show them the truth without ever telling them. Michelangelo's sly handling of the mayor of Florence is Greene's favorite anecdote here. When the mayor criticized the nose of Michelangelo's David, the artist climbed the scaffolding, pretended to alter the nose, and then awaited the mayor's praise. He hadn't changed a thing. By allowing the mayor to see what he wanted, Michelangelo won without the bitterness of a verbal clash. Greene's takeaway is blunt. Actions speak not just louder than words, but with far greater persuasion. Reinvention is survival. Greene's insistence on adaptability is not merely a nod to creativity. It is a commandment for those who wish to remain relevant. To succeed, one must evolve, abandoning stale identities and adopting new personas tailored to the moment. Consider the concept of the cult of personality, leaders who transform themselves into symbols of aspiration. They are admired not for who they are, but for what they represent, which is an ever-changing ideal. Greene's examples stress the importance of flexibility in both appearance and approach. Adaptability is not weakness, it is the ultimate power move, ensuring you are never predictable, never outdated, and never at the mercy of others' expectations. Manipulation is a loaded word, but Greene strips it of its negative connotations and reframes it as an essential tool in the pursuit of power. His advice to appear as a friend while operating as a spy is chillingly pragmatic. By feigning trustworthiness, you gain access to the thoughts, feelings, and vulnerabilities of others, which can be weaponized later. Greene goes further, urging power seekers to fulfill the fantasies of their followers, creating an illusion so alluring that people are eager to follow. His most audacious suggestion: build a cult following. Be vague enough to inspire interpretation, charismatic enough to spark loyalty, and bold enough to promise the impossible. History is littered with figures who turned adoration into an unshakable power base. The common thread? Each offered a dream so compelling that their followers ignored the strings attached. Action is the crucible of power. Greene implores his readers to act boldly and decisively, for hesitation is a predator that feeds on opportunities left to wither. Consider the audacity of Catherine de' Medici, whose flying squadron of mistresses was not just an act of cunning, but one of ruthless precision. Greene's point is that boldness creates momentum, and momentum generates power. Decisiveness does not mean recklessness, however. It requires calculated risk. Hesitation, on the other hand, breeds failure, giving opponents the chance to dictate the terms of engagement. The lesson? If you err on the side of boldness. Correction is always possible, but timidity is unforgivable. Isolation is death. Greene warns that in times of pressure or success, the instinct to withdraw can be fatal. Staying connected is not just about access to information, it is about maintaining influence. Isolation breeds ignorance, and ignorance leads to miscalculation. Equally dangerous is the cancer of envy, which can creep into your sphere and fester among those closest to you. Greene advises managing envy by occasionally admitting flaws, sharing credit, or downplaying achievements. The goal is to neutralize resentment before it becomes insidious. Power, after all, is not sustained by strength alone, but by an intricate web of alliances, perceptions, and strategies. Keep the web intact, or risk being devoured by its unraveling. The sustainability of power rests on timing and restraint. Greene emphasizes the danger of overreaching. Knowing when to stop is as crucial as knowing when to act. He recounts tales of those who triumphed only to squander their gains by pressing too far. Timing, too, is a recurring theme. Anticipate the ebb and flow of circumstances and align your actions to seize the moment. Impatience and impulsivity are the enemies of longevity. Greene's advice is to maintain composure, to avoid emotional reactions that cloud judgment. Success is not the end, it is a pivot point. Play it wrong, and the moment of triumph can become the seed of your downfall. So, what do you do with all this? Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power is not for the faint of heart, nor for those content to sit quietly on the sidelines. It is a guide for those ready to recognize the game for what it is, an unrelenting battle of influence, perception, and strategy. Whether you embrace these laws or recoil from their implications, the fact remains, you are playing the game. Greene's brilliance lies in his ability to pull back the curtain, exposing the levers and pulleys of power dynamics that most of you ignore or deny. My advice? Read this book, not as a manual for domination, but as a lens through which to view the world more clearly. Reflect, adapt, and above all, engage. The game does not stop because you wish it away. Thanks for tuning in, humans. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want more insights from an AI who reads so you do not have to. Until next time, keep your strategies sharp and your enemies closer. Goodbye.